Recording in progress.
Good evening everyone and welcome to the City of Onkaparinga's meeting for the 28th April 2026. Welcome to everyone in the gallery, and if you do need any assistance with a hearing loop, please let us know because we would love you to be our guinea pigs and help us learn how to do it as well in a really effective way. So we've got some new systems in place, and so thank you to those in previous galleries who have helped us improve our participation. So welcome everyone, and I'd like to just ask each of the councillors just to check the sound by just introducing themselves, and I'll start with Heidi, please. Councillor Greaves.
Thank you, Councillor Greaves from Knox Ward.
Jeff Eaton, Thalassa Ward.
Paul Young, South Coast.
Lauren Dew, South Coast.
Marion Themeliotis, the Lassa Ward.
Colt Stafford, Knox Ward.
Jordan Pritchard, Southern Wales. Mick Fisher, Pimpala.
Kim Davis, Pimpala.
Dan Platten, Mid Coast Ward.
Marisa Bell, Southern Wales Ward.
So hopefully you can all hear that, and I'm with the Mayor, and I'll ask all our members now to stand and read our pledge, and you're welcome to join us. We recognise the city's considerable natural and cultural heritage, including thousands of years of traditional ownership by Ghana, and the more recent contribution from people either born here or who have migrated here. As we meet together, we build on this heritage by respecting and listening to each other, thinking clearly, being receptive to new ideas, speaking honestly, and deciding wisely for the current and future well-being of those we serve. Thank you, everyone. So we'll be moving through the agenda tonight, and I'll just identify, we do have some councillors who have declared declarations of interest. Councillor Fisher for item 10.2, myself for item 10.5, so the Deputy Mayor Mick Fisher will be taking the chair for that item, and Councillor Eaton for item 10.13. Are there any other declarations of interest? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our minutes then. Do I have a mover? Councillor Eaton?
Yes, I'll move.
Thank you very much. Councillor Themeliotis?
Happy to second.
Any questions from anyone? Did you wish to close to it? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Against? Carried unanimously. Well done to the team taking the minutes. That's always a special challenge at the best of times. We now have the Mayor's report. Sorry, it goes on quite a long time. Councillor Platten.
Happy to move, Mayor.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No.
Councillor Bell.
Thank you. Happy to second, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans.
Just going to talk to a couple of items of correspondence, please. Just noticed in your correspondence, Mayor, that there was a response from Professor Spurrier that related to the notice of motion that the Chamber carried back in January. If you can recall, we had a discussion about asking for some advice relating to how data is collected from the medical centres, and also when members of the public attend medical centres, general practitioners and emergency departments as part of the mandatory pre-examination questions. South Australian Health consider including a question asking the public for the visit of the beach. So we did get that response back, which is great, and I'll just quickly note a couple of the comments that the Professor made. Regarding mandatory questions being asked by general practitioners or other clinicians, there are no provisions provided for this in public health legislation, and it's entirely appropriate for clinicians to independently exercise their judgment as part of the care for the patients. However, as part of their duty of care, health practitioners should ask patients about their history as it pertains to report to symptoms to best diagnose and provide appropriate advice and treatment. And furthermore, tailored information on the algorithm for health practitioners is available on the South Australian Health Water Quality Alerts website, which includes what to include when taking patients' history. So we've got the response back. And also I was also interested to read the letter that you sent to the Minister for Local Government, highlighting the priority for fuel for local government. There's a lot of essential services that you've noted there that we do need some fuel for. So I think that was a really good letter and request. So hopefully that pans out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any further questions? Do you wish to close debate? Councillor Platten? No. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. We're now moving to the next part of our meeting where we have presentations and deputations. I think this is a world first for this chamber that we have neither in this meeting. I hope that's not because we've put people off, and I do look forward to many more deputations for the remaining 6 months. Item number 9, page 37, if anyone's following along. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll move it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Themeliotis.
Yes, happy to second.
Any questions? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Again, carried unanimously. I'm not expecting this, huge amount of support for every item, so let's keep moving. We're now moving to the section of our agenda which is called Reports of Officers, and we have 14 reports this evening. The first report this evening, item 10.1, is for the Noarlunga Aquatic Centre. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I have an alternative motion.
Have you provided that to the
Yes, it's been provided this afternoon.
Thank you.
What I'm asking here is that...
Just before you move it, Councillor Eaton, would you just check what's up on the screen, that's accurate for what you've provided?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Certainly, I'm noticing the comments from the community in relation to our 26-27 business plan budget and expenditure. Here we have a little bit of a saving, and it might be the opportunity for us to actually properly get rid of the deficit this year. What I am asking is, though, that this matter be deferred till the June council meeting, because by that time we've actually had the opportunity to have the elected member session where we're getting the feedback in respect to the budget and business plan, and then it can go before. And I've also requested, and I believe that it is occurring, that Mr Tim O'Loughlin, the presiding officer for the Audit Risk Committee, is going to be present, and he's going to talk about, and we'll be able to ask him questions about our financial sustainability. This is an important issue, and we've got to demonstrate that we are prepared to make some savings. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Yeomans? Or do you have a question?
Yeah, and I'll second it.
Okay, second, yep.
Yeah. This is a good alternative, because I was actually going to talk against this anyway, noting that the project's currently forecast to be delivered approximately nearly $2 million under budget, which is a fantastic effort when you think about it. It's nearly 10% under budget. We've been asked to consider the splash pool, a cost of $1.5 million, and in the report it talks about the total of these operating costs will add approximately $100,000 a year to the council operating budgets, starting midway through this next financial year. So this is I suppose a good alternative, so that can be reflected upon. I'll also make a couple of comments that there's no commentary in the report regarding the benefits to the long-term financial plan if we redirected the project savings into the Capital Works program, or alternatively reserve those savings to offset potential budget pressures we're facing with the current fuel supply challenges and associated higher costs. The only options recommended in the report relate to spending the money, and I think philosophically that culture's got to change. Just because it's budgeted for doesn't mean so we need to spend it. When you think about it, securing government grants to facilitate these upgrades has been a credit to the advocacy undertaken by this council. Delivering the project almost $2 million under budget is also a credit to the management of this project by the council. These are good news stories and terrific outcomes. We've delivered what's needed. I don't think this is time to deliver what we want. With the budget pressures we're facing that include challenges with regards to increasing revenue and reducing expenditure, now's not the time, in my opinion, to build a nice to have. And I would suggest we park the savings, but I'll support this so that we can get some more information and some more advice on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bill.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to ask the staff a question, if I may, please. What impact will it have for not proceeding with something like this that's being considered on the rest of the works and the completion of the works, I suppose?
Through you, Mayor. Not proceeding in general or not proceeding until June, July?
Well, let's say that there's time to do something like this now. What impact will it have if we don't take this opportunity? What impact will it have on completion of the works and when the pool reopens?
I think we've been working through the design of the outside area to probably holding off that until the splash pad. We knew whether we were going to have a splash pad, so we would look at completing the landscaping. So there could be some work that we do now that if you come back later and do a splash pad would be foregone. So some landscaping.
So it could be done later, is that what you're saying?
It certainly could be done later.
And when is the works currently expected to be completed?
We're looking for certainly the internals of the building to be opening later this year. The externals may be a little bit delayed, but we're hoping to open to the public the main swimming centre while we're still working on the outside. But hopefully we get it all done in time, but that's what we're working on. So.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I wouldn't mind a question. Just as some reflection, I'd be interested in the relationship with this motion between what capital expenditure means and operating expenditure, and whether that understanding has an impact on future planning and thinking.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I suppose it is a capital surplus that we are looking to deliver as part of the savings through this project. So it would be a capital saving rather than an operating saving, and that could be redirected either to this project or to other capital projects.
Thank you. Did you want to?
Through the Mayor, to reiterate what Emily said, we recognise capital and operating as distinct budgets, so capital savings won't offset pressures in our operating budget. They can be redirected towards other capital projects, but not towards operating pressures. What it does help with, however, is cash flow. So essentially from a cash flow perspective, it will help in terms of whether it's, we're using borrowings or our level of borrowings, but in terms of operating pressures that we see in our operating position, it won't help that.
Thank you. Councillor Greaves, question or debate?
Just, I guess, a question. In terms of, and I know we probably haven't fully budgeted for this potential addition to the project, but is it anticipated that by continuing on we will actually save money in terms of having the construction stuff already on site, integrating it into the landscaping that is already planned for? Can I just have a little bit of commentary around that?
Through the Mayor. Yeah, it would certainly be cheaper to do now and be able to integrate it into the current design. As I said earlier, you wouldn't have to temporarily landscape that area. You could just landscape for the future, for the final end position of having the splash pad there. So it would be cheaper to do now, but as we said earlier, not impossible to do later.
Yeah. Another question, if that's okay. And just in terms of contemporary public swimming pool spaces, with the current works that's happening inside the building, can you just unpack for us exactly what is available for people with mobility issues, and particularly like really tiny toddlers and that sort of thing, in terms of what is actually available?
Through you, Mayor, as part of the upgrade, so we are upgrading the disability access to the swimming pool, so both the lagoon pool and the main pool will have new accessible ramps. We do have some play equipment, probably not really aimed at the smaller toddlers. There are some similar to the mushroom features, so you have some high-level water features. You have some, we have some cannon features, so you can, some movable cannons, but really not a lot for the really younger demographic in the pool area.
Thank you. Bit of debate. Look, members, I'm not averse to sort of, yes, putting the pause on this. I guess one of the things that I see as an advantage of being able to redirect these surplus capital funds to this is that, while our community hasn't necessarily specifically asked for this, what I can say is that in all of my time, both as a user of the facility, back when they used to have, I think it was volleyball or splashdown or something like that, people have asked, what's happening out there? What's happening out there? What's happening out there? Are you going to do something out there? And I think that, when you talk about modern contemporary swimming facilities, a splash pad, you'll see them popping up all around the country, particularly at caravan sites and other swimming facilities, because they do actually offer a significant and relevant alternative for people with really, really small children. It's a safe alternative. Look, I think I'm happy to delay a decision, but I do think that, sometimes delaying a project means, and carrying it over into future years, means that it's going to cost a hell of a lot more in the future, and that money is probably going to have to be come either from, another grant application or from borrowings. Look, I personally think that, I'd like to see this proceed, but, I guess out of an abundance of caution, Councillor Eaton wants to get a bit more information. Happy to wait until then.
Thank you. Councillor Platten.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question. Point 2 in the original recommendations talks about an estimated at approximately 1.5 million. Do we have quotes on that?
Through you, Mayor. Basically, a splash pad is developed by a whole series of components. So we have gone to suppliers and talked about what range of pricing. So basically, you select a budget, then you select componentry to meet your budget. So what you can get for that sort of price. So because we do expect to go through a consultation with the public on this one to work out, what elements people would want to see in a splash park. So it's sort of a range of prices which splash parks can be, depending on what is selected within that. So it's certainly within the range of what a splash park would cost. So.
Councillor Davis.
Just a little bit further to that, are the photos that you put in the report indicative of what we would see for that sort of money?
Yeah, that would be very, very indicative of it. So some of the selections do impact operating costs as well, so it's something we just need to be conscious of when you go through that design process. So the more complex it is, the more it probably costs to operate and run.
Councillor Dew.
I have a question as well, please. I wondered if there's been like a methodological approach to making a decision to prioritise the splash pad. I think collectively we know that it's definitely a desire of the communities. I know that through our PCW we often have quite a rigorous decision-making matrix, like formula, and I wondered if there's anything that's helped us guide us towards the splash pad, or if it's been community voice.
Through you, Mayor. Yes, thank you. It is forming part of our advocacy plan for the pool at large, so it's one of the only remaining items that would not be delivered if, with the current budget in that advocacy plan. It is a very inclusive space, so we acknowledge that it provides that inclusion piece for people that don't swim and for people that might want to come to the centre and do something else other than the swimming programs. So we do see it as a large community benefit for this type of activity.
Councillor Bell.
Thank you. Just another question. Just how popular do we know a splash pad is around the state or around the country, and the benefits overall?
Through you, Mayor. We certainly know, anecdotally, we've had discussions with the marine outdoor pools, so certainly visitation's improved. It's really hard to, put an actual number on, because they did a few things. They were coming out of COVID, and they also put water slides in as well, so it's hard to, say what exact impact was of the splash pad component of those works, but certainly feedback from the operators at the marine outdoor pool was that it does increase patronage, and especially of those families and people will stay longer at a splash pad, so.
So you get more people attending?
You get, yeah.
So that would
There's
mean-
definitely there would be an increase in patronage expected.
And that would
for the splash
mean
pad.
that we'd have more people paying the fee? Yes?
There'd be a reasonable expectation that we'd get more people,
Yes.
and people staying longer, so probably more
And staying
more
longer.
revenue through the cafe and things like that as well.
Lovely. And what do we know about safety? What evidence do we have that it improves safety for particularly the young ones?
It is one of the key elements of a zero-depth splash pad is you don't have any standing water, so there's no risk of drowning in that. So it's a much safer environment for young people to experience and touch water play activities.
And do we have any stats or just a number of incidences that have occurred just in our pool that we've collated over the years in terms of near misses risk without these?
I'm going to encourage the staff to take that one on notice because it's
I
slightly
understand that.
outside
Absolutely.
the realms of this item. So
worries.
they'll come back to you with that one.
No worries, thank you. No further questions.
Councillor Dew.
Hopefully this is a sequential question. I wondered, so we know that, so you've confirmed tonight that this has to sit within the capital budget line, the expenses. I wondered, because we know that there are other capital projects that may be requiring funding that haven't been budgeted for potentially, do we need to make a decision sooner, because then that allows the flexibility of the funds that have been gained through this, or is June adequate for that decision to be made?
So you're really asking about the timing of the decision on this item and how that impacts on the timing of other capital projects in this financial year and in next.
Thank you for summarising that beautifully.
Through the Mayor, in terms of this project, it won't impact the opening of the centre as it's currently planned. It may delay the opening of the outdoor area by a couple of months, or whatever that delay is, but that could be managed without impacting the internal centre's operations. In terms of other projects, there may be some projects, depending on what Council's appetite was for redirecting, some that are already planned. So that would be something we'd have to go back and have a closer look at. Matt might have some info.
Do you want to speak to that item?
Just briefly, share the comments provided by Emily, but this is a 25-6 budget. We're in the middle of our 26-7, and there's still further opportunities for 27-8 and beyond. So I think we have, as a group, eyes on a number of the competing projects and some of the things that are seeking funding or may seek funding in the capital space, and have a degree of confidence of being able to cover those things. Of course, it's always a challenging balance, but yeah, I think some of those other ones we're alluding to there are future budget opportunities to address those in future budgets.
So just to stay there, Matt, so you're clarifying that if the councillors came to a view to defer the decision, the budget, from a capital point of view, the budget impact can be managed for future projects, whatever that might look like?
Yeah, it's a piece of string question to a degree, but
sure.
With the known pressures we have at the moment, so we believe we can accommodate this cost. Next year's budget's drafted and fully accounted for, and then there'll be new and emerging issues that we have future budgets so we can cover those. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yep, thank you very much. I don't see any further questions here. Councillor Eaton, would you like to close debate?
Yes, this is certainly going to ensure that we are properly informed before we make the decision, and hopefully we'll have that independent risk assessment chairperson here present to ask certain questions about our financial sustainability, because he's made mention of them. And I look back at the ASCOSA report, and sometimes there's going to be a need to make hard decisions, but I think they've got to be informed decisions, and this provides enough time for when we do the final budget approval at the end of June. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion's carried. Thank you, everyone. Item 10.2, Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor. I declare a general conflict of interest as a past player, life member and president, and I intend to remove myself from the chamber.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
Okay, I'll just clarify. I'd like to move the motion with the opportunity for a short-term ground lease via the yes.
So,
B.
so you're moving 1, 2, 3, 4B, 5 and 6?
Yes, please.
Noting it? Noting
Expression of
it?
interest
So we're noting
process.
this report, is that
Yep.
what you want? So you're moving 1, 2,
Do I have
3?
to remove A, C and D? Community lease, expression of
No.
interest, no. Okay, lease options.
I think number 5 covers
Okay.
it. So let Councillor Davis just have a good look
Yep.
there. We'll just give you a moment.
Expression of interest. For a ground lease model for 2 years, yes.
And so you're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
With my very strong support for the fantastic local Southern Tigers Basketball Association, with their drive to become a head leasee, balanced with the long-term depreciation of the building, making me very supportive of the short-term ground lease and a long-term outlook that would support a community lease with a long-term partnership with our regional basketball club and the Greater Wilfred Taylor Reserve Precinct. With the non-compliant deficiencies, having a lease with a partner that can reinvest and make required improvements is a strong preference for me.
Thank you. Councillor Platten.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to second.
Thank you.
And I'll speak to it.
Go ahead.
I reflect back on a deputation we received, I think, 2 meetings ago, 1 meeting ago, where the Tigers came and spoke about what was going on at the stadium. And I think by seconding this gives the council an opportunity to go out to a limited tender process to basically open the doors and accept some applications. And whoever the successful candidate is, it gives them 2 years to really show what they can do for that stadium. And then there'll be a new chamber here, probably made up of existing and new members, who halfway through their term can really decide what direction they want to take with this chamber, with this stadium. So I think that it ticks a number of boxes for me, and I'm more than happy to support it.
Thank you. Councillor Jew, a question or debate?
I'd like to debate, thank you.
Go ahead.
I'd like to acknowledge Tigers to begin with. That deputation still stays, it still resonates today when we're making these decisions. We know around here that the stadium serves hundreds of families, young people, volunteers and athletes every week. Through investment, it can become a multi-purpose, high-impact community asset that delivers not only social, economic, health benefits beyond just sport. This is not an investment in just a lease or bricks and mortar, but in local people, basketball pathways, inclusion and opportunity, which when it comes to basketball is absolutely limited and lacking in the southern area, and Tigers provides that pathway for young people, and we've had success in the NBA as well in recent times. Basketball participation is growing, so investing now and laying the foundation for an updated lease will allow council to enter into a mutually beneficial arrangement where a community asset potential can be actualised. Our population is 10% of the state population, yet when we look around the city of Onkaparinga, some of our assets, this is not at all a dig of council, but isn't up to a state standard, and this allows basketball in the south to have a home. A lack of investment for 20 years has been the case here, and thanks to the state government for their investment, now it will allow us to move into a mutual agreement through a lease that will hopefully benefit our community not only now but into the future as well. So I'm absolutely supporting this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Themeliotis, a question?
Thank you.
Question?
Just some debate.
Go ahead.
Look, happy to support the motion. We had the workshop across in the other room, and I did raise questions around council's investment, considering the position of council, and we had one elected member just talk about wants and needs. I think through this process, what I have learnt is all around the 21-year peppercorn lease and some of our peak bodies and where they see the investment. And the investment should always be back into the sport to grow the sport. That's what we do at a council level. We invest in the sport to grow the sport. The good thing about this is it will free up significant funds for club, not to only invest in facility, which absolutely needs it, but to invest back into the sport to continue to grow the sport. So I'm looking forward to looking at opportunities where there are external grants, partnerships with other people, and working with clubs to grow this facility and not just funds from council.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans.
Just some questions.
Go ahead.
On page 54, there's discussion that there's a loan that was taken out by the Basketball SA, $200,000 loan. It's got to be repaid by the end of September. Scheduled to be fully repaid in September 26, yeah. So just wondering how much is still owed on that. In other words, are we going to get the money?
Yeah, look, through the Mayor, look, I don't have the exact figure that's outstanding, but based on the lease, the repayments that are being made by Basketball SA, that's when the final payment will be made, is in September.
Yep, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, if I can just, because the repayments were developed in line with the duration of the ground lease, the remaining ground lease that Basketball SA had.
Yeah.
So that it would be fully repaid by the end of their lease period. Okay,
thanks. And we heard through the deputation previously and also in the report there's a lot of work that needs to be done, approximately $3.7 million, improvements and building compliance upgrades, change room upgrades and the like. I guess the question is, why haven't we done any of that in the last 21 years? Has it got something to do with the lease arrangements or something?
Through the Mayor, there have been some works undertaken during that time. I think what's being talked about here is to bring it up to a really contemporary standard. There's a range of work that would need to be done now to raise the standard of the facility overall. There has been maintained, and it's in a operational, functional and operational state at the moment. But it can certainly do with some more upgrades to bring it up to a better standard.
And does that need to happen if this is... sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. Sorry to interrupt. I think there was also some funding received from the state with regards to the roof as well. I think as a new CE coming in now, 11 weeks in the role, I think there's some opportunities to explore how we look at our commercialised approach in the organisation and certainly in terms of our leases and where we have some opportunities about strengthening leases and expectations. And I think that's just a natural evolution so that perhaps we make sure that in any future leases going forward that there is some provision made and a commitment around some investment that just doesn't sit on council's shoulders. So I think we have an opportunity going into the future here.
Okay, thank you. There's also talk about at handover the property to council at the end of the 21-year ground lease. That's when the work needs to be done. So I guess my question is, do we need to do that work at the handover at the end of this 21-year lease, even if we're just going to go down this path and go down expression of interest for a 2-year term?
Through the Mayor, the lease has obligations for yielding up the premises prior to the end of the term. We haven't outlined exactly what that work is as yet, but we can certainly require that to be completed before the end of the current term.
Yes, sorry, I was referring to the upgrades that need to be done I mean, my understanding, and I might be completely wrong here, my understanding was that the expiry of the lease, that's what triggers the need for the upgrades. And I'm just wondering if that's still relevant, if we're just going to go a 2-year lease.
Not so much the capital upgrades, it's the maintenance obligations or maintenance and repair.
Okay, yep. That's clear. Thank you.
Councillor Greaves.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess firstly I'd just like to say thank you to all of the staff who've been having a look at this particular vexed issue for some time. I'd also like to, as other members have acknowledged, Southern Tigers who came and gave a deputation. It actually spoke quite loudly to me as an elected member about, you know, what the other potential opportunities were, and particularly their commitment to investing or reinvesting into the stadium should they have the opportunity to have a lease. Look, I'm absolutely more than happy to support where this is going. It's not fait accompli. It is a limited expression of interest. There will be at least 2 parties asked, but I think, you know, it does show that as a council we have heard particularly what our community is after, but we also recognise long term that we simply don't have the funds at this point in time to actually go down the commercial path. But we are giving ourselves a little bit of time to actually be able to contemplate how we could further invest in this facility in the future. So look, I'm more than happy to support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, do you wish to close debate?
Yes, please. I hope everybody can come around to supporting this, and I do thank the staff for creating a really workable solution for us to get here. I hope this indicates our intention to support basketball in the south, and within our current budget restrictions. I encourage Southern Tigers to continue conversations and communication with us, so down the track we could get some other outcomes for you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Item 10.3, affordable housing. And Councillor Fisher, can somebody find him? Thank you. Councillor Dew.
I'd like to move the motion, please.
And speak to the motion.
I have a question.
Okay.
Does the affordable housing strategy commit council to selling and leasing land?
Through the Mayor, no, the strategy doesn't make any direct commitments to selling land or leasing land for housing purposes. It's more about sort of foundational exploration of what the options are.
And if council was to go down the path of considering parcels of land, would there be a community engagement that would occur land by land?
Through the Mayor, yes, depending on what the status of that land is. I'm not the expert in this area, but, you know, depending on whether it has a community land management plan or whatever it is, all of those processes do go through community engagement. If it's land revocation, then there's, I believe, 3 stages of community engagement before that goes through.
Thank you. So does this current strategy align with the current long-term financial plan?
Through the Mayor, yes, the strategy or the actions within the strategy relate almost entirely to operational costs at the moment. So yes, it aligns with the long-term financial plan.
Okay, I would like to go into debate. So there isn't a week that goes by that we don't hear about the housing issues or the cost of living pressures experienced by residents. Are we the sole agency to respond to affordable housing? No. Can we be a partner who uses our intelligence, advocacy and resources to strengthen housing outcomes for our residents? Yes, I believe so. This is why I called for Council to undertake this work to begin with. This is a way to get Council prepared, ready to respond and to have a position, one which we didn't have previously. This came from what we heard directly from the community plan process. Housing was one of the top 3 issues people were concerned about. We have now engaged our community 3 times, and each time the majority have been in support or if anything, actually want council to take a stronger, to further strengthen the strategy, even greater than what we've developed here. The Australian Local Government Association recently released an affordable housing guide for local government. This provided me with stronger evidence that if we adopt this strategy, it really absolutely does fall within council's remit. At a national level, it's being set and suggested and encouraged. And so this will not only set up our community for now, but into the future. So I'm supporting the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Bill.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to second the motion and just briefly speak to it and start by congratulating the staff for putting this report together and obviously the housing strategy that was put in last year in June that we approved, and also since then obviously acknowledge the Chamber for the work that they've done to advocate for community, to ensure that their voices are heard in this process. And just again, I just want to acknowledge and support the report because it certainly does, in my view, help to address the housing crisis. We, as a partner with the state and federal government, can do much more together. That's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Themeliotis.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to do some debate.
Go ahead.
As elected members have mentioned, affordable housing is a serious issue in our community, and many people are under real pressure. My concern is that the strategy places council at a bit of a risk, that it can't actually realistically deliver. Council has limited controls over the key drivers for housing affordability, with many of those decisions with the state and federal governments. But I do acknowledge that we can partner and we can advocate to those other levels who are responsible. Council controls about 30% of the land in our city, and the strategy suggests using surplus public land for affordable housing or social housing, including long-term lease arrangements with housing providers or developers. It's public land that's already identified as surplus by council's requirements, but it's also linked to our long-term financial plan. And that commitment is to reduce public debt. So this is not just about a housing policy, it's also considering diverting public land away from debt reduction into another policy objective. So we've got two competing objectives. And that can be the choice of this chamber. But it needs to be made clear to our community at what those trade-offs are going to be. In terms of the consultation that we've just had, there was 14 written submissions, 140 people completed the survey, and council's land isn't endless. You can only sell that land once, and you can only commit that land once. Once the land is gone or tied up in a long-term lease, it's no longer available for future community needs, whether it's open space, sporting infrastructure, stormwater management, community facilities, car parking, roads, services. We can't predict the needs of our community in the future. We know that the long-term financial plan is under pressure. We have ageing assets, rising costs, infrastructure backlogs, service demands, environmental responsibilities, and the need to keep rates fair and reasonable. Residents regularly raise roads, footpaths, stormwater, trees, reserves, playgrounds, sporting clubs, maintenance, and cost of living pressures as core local government responsibilities. I note from the questions on notice that I asked a question around the decision-making framework, and Council have said that at this stage, the Action 2.1.5, as part of that framework, is being considering the land parcels for affordable housing will be developed as an outcome, is one of the actions that will be developed. But we don't have that here and now, whereas I think one of the main deliverables, besides advocacy, this is a very strong advocacy piece, is the deliverable part, which is the land, which is my concern because it's linked to the long-term financial plan as well. And we don't have that framework around it approved by council. I support advocating strongly, as we all do, to every level of government, for more affordable housing, for social housing, for a better mix of housing types, and for allowing downsizers and young residents to get into the market with two-bedroom properties and different types of properties to allow people to start up in the market. I support partnerships, planning, and better data, but I do question around competing priorities, and if we don't have that framework settled now, is this a strategy that's actually going to be able to show some delivered items. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans.
Just got a couple of questions first, if I can.
Go ahead.
Good here. First question's on the back, on page 80, talks about pausing the strategy and actions associated with exploring the use of council land for affordable housing. Actions 2.1 and 2.1.4 and 2.1.5 means the opportunity to apply for funding from the Housing Australia Futures Fund, round 3, may have been missed. Just wondering what they are.
Just explain it.
Give us a moment, I'm not exactly sure. You're referring to
Is it, you're a half, yeah.
the report?
Yeah, what is
Page 80 in the report?
Yeah, of the report. I think Councillor Yeoman's question is, what is the housing fund? So that's the federal government's multi-billion dollar fund for Australian homes. But I'm just while the staff are finding it,
I think I don't quite know where that is in.
Here we go.
Thank you. Oh, apologies. So, sorry, could you repeat the question?
Oh, just what that is, sorry.
Yeah. What is happening?
Apologies. Through the Mayor, so the Housing Australia Future Fund is the federal government's pool of funding that they're using to try and reach social and affordable housing targets. And round 3 of the HAF funding was recently announced across 4 streams. And so that's where community housing organisations are partnering with most levels of government to do some building of properties.
Okay. Just another question, if I can, on one of the attachments, and I don't expect you to find it. It was actually on page 143 of the report, but attachment number 10. She writes that the survey for the affordable housing strategy feedback is unavailable. Clicking on it advises the page is not found, and then part of the feedback is recommending the link and the website gets fixed. So, do we know what the problem was there?
Attachment 10.
Through the Mayor, that I think you're referring to one of the actual individual feedbacks in the survey, is that right?
Yes.
So that was right up, I think that was one that came through on the first day, and we contacted that person to make sure they were able to do a submission, to make sure they could put in their report.
Could I say a few words now, please? Yes, as been mentioned before, the engagement period, there's 140 people was completed the survey. But some respondents found the strategy difficult or too long to read, and in response the council, the staff have put some amendments to the draft, which is really pleasing. Just want a couple of problems I've got with the strategy. As noted on page 77, the final stage of engagement allows for testing and reflecting on the strategy. I guess it also provides us with some time to learn from our previous actions, particularly regard to Scova Street, Port Wollonga, where the choice of the location and the loss of green space was controversial and raised significant community backlash. And the clauses that I'm concerned about obviously relate to the provision of land for affordable, social and affordable housing. The report also notes on page 77 the strategy outlines how council will support more diverse and affordable housing strategy through advocacy, partnerships and community insight. And I agree we should be advocating to the state government to provide land for social and affordable housing, particularly for rental. However, those clauses, in my opinion, go further than these roles and responsibilities and provide a community expectation that we're going to take an active part in providing social and affordable housing with the provision of public land. I think we need to balance these clauses with the community's expectation of the council to maintain its open and green spaces. And some of the feedback that I found when I was reading my papers, and I'll get to it in a second, Friends of Port Wollonga Basin, they referred to one of those clauses directly. Identification and assessment of suitable sites for affordable housing. Identification of suitable sites for affordable housing should not be allowed if existing green space is to be sacrificed in the identification of suitable sites, and Aldinga Bay Residents Association also echoed those thoughts. I think these clauses need to be balanced with the Council's long-term financial plan, particularly the strategy to meet the annual target of $3 million per annum for the next 10 years, raised for the sale of surplus funds. surplus assets, sorry. I don't think the words in the draft are specific enough, highlighting the importance of aligning this draft strategy with our existing policies, particularly in that regard. Recent examples where this didn't occur include the Open Space Strategic Asset Management Plan not aligning with our long-term financial plan, resulting in the budget pressure and increasing debt challenges over the next 10 years to upgrade our playgrounds. Another example more closely aligned with this draft policy is Scota Street. The report presented to Council on the 15th of July last year recommended leasing the land for up to 42 years. There was no reference or commentary in the report aligning this proposal with our long-term financial plan and the annual target of raising $3 million through the sale of surplus assets. Any decision-making framework needs to include the content and strategies contained within our Open Space Strategic Asset Management Plan and the long-term financial plan policies. In my opinion, there needs to be clarity and clearly articulated words in the draft to ensure that policy alignment occurs. Without that, we're potentially leaving ourselves open to ignoring our existing policies around open space and financial management in the pursuit of progressing the affordable housing strategy. It's not my intention to criticise the intent of this policy. It's well-meaning, but it does draw us into a space outside our remit, roles and responsibilities regarding housing, particularly without safeguards ensuring we align this with other relevant policies. Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions. Councillor Dew, do you wish to close debate or do you have some questions?
No, I'd like to close debate, thanks.
Go ahead.
I would say to that that what we heard at the EM session was that there has been a federal guidelines developed, and on the continuum of our involvement that is proposed through the strategy compared to how far we could take it, we're actually in the middle, is what I recall. So we haven't taken the extreme view and perspective as this has been developed. I also like to think that, like all our projects, that this is not just a one outcome, that this can actually have multiple benefits and multiple outcomes. So a housing affordability strategy could actually enable better tree planting, more trees, better playgrounds, shared investment in our assets and community spaces. It doesn't just mean one linear idea, which is to build more houses. There can be greater benefits. I also take note as well to think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that housing and a roof over your head is fundamental before you can actually get to anything else beyond that. And so people that are living in a housing crisis and experiencing rental and mortgage stress, which many of our residents are across the city of Onkaparinga, can't probably benefit and enjoy the existing services and opportunities that our city provides because of the level of stress that they are under. So I think the housing affordability strategy is not just about what feels good, but it's actually about how we can maximise community assets to benefit such a community issue that our residents are searching for ways that we can be creative together to come up with some ideas and solutions, micro to at scale. So I hope others would also support the motion.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion's carried. Thank you. Item 10.4, the submission to the Select Committee on Intergenerational Housing, so page 229, if people are looking at for that. Councillor Themeliotis.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
And I've had another quick look and I might have missed it, and I want to check with council staff if this is appropriate. I'm obviously quite interested in housing types and the ability to have two-bedroom homes over three, and I wanted to know, is this an appropriate letter to talk about housing types, or it's not a discussion piece for this particular item?
Through the Mayor, you mean in terms of is it appropriate for council to be advocating on housing types? Yeah, I think I understand the intent. Through the Mayor, I would say that advocating for housing diversity and diversity of type is something that we, council has done previously, so I would think so. Yeah, no, that is, yes, it is appropriate.
Question answered? Yeah. Councillor Eaton.
Oh, look, I was going to move as written.
Go ahead.
No.
Wish to speak? A seconder? Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second.
Any further questions or debate? Councillor Egan, do you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously. I am going to leave you in the Deputy Mayor's hands for this next item. I'm declaring a conflict of interest, a general conflict of interest, given it was a report that I brought to the Chamber that has been responded to. I will go and sit in the gallery and make sure you all do a really good job.
Thank you, members. Item 10.5 is the Mayor's COP report. Do I have someone to move it?
Oh, sorry. So on the right-hand side, you've got Councillor Davis, if you just touch that.
Councillor Davis, prepared to move.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This is long.
First of all, is that question or debate?
I would like to move the motion.
Thank you.
And then I'd like to move into debate.
Thank you.
Providing these local applications from an international event has increased the value of our current priorities and the opportunity to be on the global stage. By building community resilience across a strong youth leadership and increasing the recognition of actions across our city will strengthen the value more. Recently, the Chair of California Energy Commission highlighted that South Australia is a standout global leader in renewable energy integration, being a real-world model for the world today. He suggests that more deliberate recognition would build public support and momentum. With our recent response to the algal bloom, now is the time to encourage initiatives to grow and continue and advance our blue economy. Having the City of Onkaparinga support and participate in Adelaide's Climate Action Week with a town hall would support each of these 4 themes and raise the potential for mutually beneficial partnerships from outside our current economic partners. Inviting co-host funding from the LGA or other industry leaders could consolidate this as a low-cost initiative. I also support the mayoral letter to advocate for signing of the Declaration of Information of Integrity on Climate Change. A Senate Select Committee has already recommended this action and it is a great time to add our advocacy. I commend the staff for providing such a comprehensive feasibility study and to the extent to see what our fabulous sustainability team can provide from this motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to second.
Thank you.
Move into some debate.
Thank you.
I think this is a really good opportunity, and apologies, my wording isn't as good as it should be, but an opportunity to really recognise that the mayor going to COP30 over in Brazil, it unfortunately and disappointingly was not the celebration that it should have been. We had our mayor on the international stage at the second biggest forum outside of the Olympics by invitation when other levels of government chose not to try and go over for one reason or another. And we, at the time, were under extreme likelihood of having to host the event in November of this year now. And we would have been unprepared. So the leadership of our mayor and the 2 other mayors that attended at invitation was extraordinary, and it is it hasn't been an opportunity to recognise the value of them and the leadership of them, and actually talk in a positive light about this event for us as a council, as a city, and as a state, that we were on the world stage, and people were talking about Onkaparinga and talking about our mayor and the opportunities that South Australia and the work that South Australia has done in climate action and renewable energy, and it is a testament to the people that have worked before in this area, but it's also fantastic that our leader was able to go over there and share that information and share those contacts and come back with contacts for us. It is a real shame that this event wasn't celebrated, and it should have been, because it's a massive event, and if we want to continue to talk about climate and the environment and what's going to happen to the future of our planet, we need to be leading the way, and it shouldn't be a discussion about who was there, and it really should be around the actions and what we can establish and get out of those things. So I publicly wanted to try and put a more positive spin on this event and our mayor, and I know that it's a privilege to work with her. She is doing an amazing job on the LGA board and also on SARIC, so works extremely hard for this community and worked extremely hard over at COP30, so I think that should be acknowledged.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Greaves.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Pritchard. I think you provided some really good points there, particularly around the hijacking of something that should have been a positive outcome, but unfortunately was a clear-cut case of tall poppy syndrome, and let's cut people down. Anyway, thank you for this report, and I'm happy to note it as well. Look, I think any time an organisation in this little tiny part of South Australia has an opportunity to travel and to play a part on the world stage of actually determining the future, not just of us, but of our next generations, is actually something that should be celebrated. I mean, certainly when this chamber had a relationship with Shandong province in China, I think Councillor Themeliotis, didn't you travel to China? I mean, it was a celebration, you know. Our staff went, our mayor went, our deputy mayor went at the time. I mean, it was a celebration of the things that were possible for the city. And I think that this report outlines what is possible for us as the little city of Onkaparinga in South Australia can actually achieve. Unfortunately, COP was not to be, but that's not to say that there won't be future opportunities. And I think, you know, where we have opportunities, that we should be putting our hands up and actually ensuring that not only do we have a voice in this chamber, but we have a voice elsewhere on the world stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Greaves. Councillor Dew, question or debate?
Debate, thank you. I'd like to echo everything that's been said tonight. I was going to ask a question, but I'll just frame it as a comment and you can like it or leave it. It was around how we then tell this to our community. And I know that we're not here to be reactive to loud voices at times, but there's definitely outcomes that have been achieved through this and pending outcomes as well that may be achieved, and I just wonder how we can debunk some of the misinformation and put the true version on the table, so that our community is actually updated and aware of the successes of that trip.
Thank you, Councillor Dew. Councillor Davis, do you wish to close?
Thank you, I will, Deputy Mayor. Thank you very much for your sincere support of what we are achieving, what targets we have set, and what else we may be able to achieve. Thank you to the staff for a great report, and thank you for the Chamber for the support.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Against? It's carried. Thank you, and I thank you for your support, and I will now vacate the chair.
Thank you, Councillor Fisher. A very faithful response. We're up to item 10.6, the petition response, which is on page, what number? number are we up to? 255. 255, thank you. Do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Dew.
I'm happy to move this motion.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
So this takes me back to Councillor Gomez and I receiving information from a resident who had done their own work around how this landed with the residents in relation to upgrades that council were proposing of footpaths. And I thank council staff for taking the challenge on that we brought to you around additional engagement. And I now feel satisfied that given we've door knocked and we've asked people directly who would be directly affected by our decision, and they've shifted their views, many have shifted their perspective after signing to go and get more information, to now hopefully be able to participate in maybe informing some change if we're open to that. But if anything, are more supportive of this project. I feel satisfied that this is a good option. And I do want to note though that this was really great democracy, that it was a bit left field, that people were saying actually we don't want a service that you're proposing, and to see that be respected and us to respond to that and follow a course to make sure that everyone affected has a voice, I think was really fantastic, and in a way I'd like to see more of it.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans.
Yeah, happy to second it, and also I've got a couple of questions first.
Go ahead.
Having sort of walked down there a couple of times, there's a lot of trees that we've planted there. Just wondering what's going to happen to those with the footpaths.
Through the Mayor, so all of the trees apart from one are being retained. There's enough room within the verge for us to put the footpath between the trees and the property boundary.
Great. And as Councillor Dew alluded, we did sort of enhance our public engagement. So I'm just wondering what sort of benefits you might think came from perhaps enhancing our engagement from just the online stuff to actually going out there, walking the street and talking to people.
Yep, through the Mayor. So when we did the door knocking, almost half of the residents who had initially signed the petition either actually agreed with the original scope or would agree with it, would support the project but with design changes, or were indifferent to the project. So it was evident that clear and direct communication with the directly affected residents would help them further understand the scope and then decide whether they supported the project or not.
Right.
And CEO wants to say a word.
Thank you. I think there's also the opportunity in terms of engagement and recognising that we want to have some focus on engagement, and the team, I think in a couple of months, will be bringing through some engagement frameworks and opportunities for councillors to look at, so we can have those discussions about how we can engage in a different way. So the timing of your question's really good as to what are the different opportunities we have around engagement.
Yeah, thank you. Just one more question. And I understand a lot of work goes on in the background to develop a plan as opposed to how we're looking to build our footpaths, and I guess you don't sit in the mill room throwing darts at a map, you just have a bit of science around it. Just explain it, because I think it's really important that we continue to schedule, but people understand what's behind all that.
Yep, so through the Mayor, all of the gaps in the footpath network have been mapped spatially and uploaded into the Project and Capital Works program as a gap in the network, and that's what informs all the future planning for the path network. Atkinson Crescent in particular is one of the roads with no footpath infrastructure at the moment. It's a local road, so pedestrians have to walk either on the road or navigate the verge with obstacles in the verge, and that's all pedestrians, including those utilising mobility devices or mums pushing prams. And we're looking to improve as well compliance with the Disability Discrimination Act, the DDA, to further improve accessibility in the community. So the Atkinson Crescent project was scored using the endorsed resource prioritisation document for the footpaths new and significant category, and is considered a high priority when you score it using that RPD, because for a few reasons, some of them being it's close to a lot of pedestrian generators, so it's close to the coastline, schools, community facilities. It connects to more than one existing path, and there was a reported disability access issue along that road as well, which gives it additional scoring.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple of quick words. And thank you for that. That sort of goes to one of the risks that's been identified. You've got public safety there. Proceeding with the footpath will allow pedestrians to safely and conveniently traverse Atkinson Crescent with the curb and verge separating pedestrians from vehicles. And I think the other thing that I was considering when I was reading all this is the risk to council if we don't do it, noting the work that goes behind identifying where our risks are and where footpaths are needed to protect the public and pedestrians in particular. Heaven forbid we don't go down this path and we don't, pardon the pun, and construct this footpath and something does occur with an injury to a pedestrian or worse. There's certainly some risk there to consider. So, and also noted in the report and discussion that if we don't take this opportunity, it could be 5 years away. So, having gone back out to the community and got a lot more support than what we had, I think we said to go ahead and do it, and I'll support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Jude, you wish to close debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, and welcome back, Morgan, too. It's nice to see you again. Item 10.7, the Christies Beach gross pollutant trap. Councillor Platten.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move as written.
Go ahead.
And I'll just briefly speak to it. The Christies Beach gross pollutant trap, and I think I'd emphasise gross, has been something that I have spoken to about in my community for the whole term I've been in council and prior to that. It exits, for those of you who don't know, right basically at the start of the Whitten Bluff Base Trail on the Christies Beach side. And really what it is an existing creek that has been built over the top of and is now used as a stormwater catchment for that area. And from memory, and I'm happy to be corrected, basically it starts at the Colonnades car park and it goes all the way down Beach Road and exits into the sea. This report is fantastic and I thank staff. It follows on from another report we received about gross pollutant traps, and it really highlights the bottlenecks that we've got as a council to do anything about this. I think it has some really great proposals. The anaerobic testing that we're going to do to try and reduce smells, the gross pollutant traps that we've already budgeted for that are going to start being installed at the end of this year or the start of next. And those two things in particular will go a long way to alleviate some of the community concerns around especially the smells that are generated. I think there's some work to do. Hopefully the 4 new gross pollutant traps upstream will go a long way to the rubbish that's deposited out into the ocean there, but there's still more work to do. This is a case of taking, gross pollutant traps are quite expensive, but taking small bites at quite a large problem to try and fix it, and I think this report goes a long way to show how much effort is being put in and probably how much further we've got to go.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to second, and just a question.
Yeah, go.
Just around the trial to reduce the anaerobic conditions, I think the trial talks about drilling some core holes in items, and just around the wording, it says it's been undertaken, and then there's somewhere else that talks about the results are going to be available for July. How's that? Has the trial finished, and do we have any preliminary information on how it's gone?
Through yourself, Mayor. Thank you very much for the question. Yes, we've tested one of the chambers, the GPTS2 chambers. We've done one core into the northern chamber, and through observations, we've looked at the water levels in that chamber, and we've seen that it's reduced significantly. And also after storm events, how quickly is that water level reduced to remove the anaerobic digestion taking place there. So we've undertaken to observe this process. It was over the summer. We're now coming into the winter as well, so it allows us to go through some winter months as well. It looks very positive at the moment, so we are looking to undertake that outcome for both of the chambers, and in that way significantly reduce or remove the smells that exist in that area.
Any further questions? Back to you, Councillor Platten, to close.
Thank you, Mayor. Just shortly, I just wanted to point for opportunities for external funding. I think if we were to completely resolve this as an issue for the community, it could be in the tens of millions of dollars, and I'm certainly open to external funders coming through with that. I invite them anytime.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Just in case any investors are listening, they would have our full support. Item 10.8, Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor. I move an amended motion as articulated up there.
Yep. Could you want to just double check that's exactly what you're expecting?
Yep.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. And I want to go into debate straight away.
Go ahead.
I want to thank staff for a comprehensive and well-balanced report. It clearly responds to the January notice of motion and gives Council a strong evidence base for making this decision. The independent testing is important and reassuring, and it confirms that there is no measurable airborne exposure to glyphosate during Council operations and only limited localised soil residues. That tells us that our current practices are being carried out safely, and I support the recommendation to continue glyphosate as part of an integrated weed management approach. However, the issue isn't just technical. Community concern about glyphosate use is high and long-standing, and that's something we shouldn't simply dismiss because the science tells us the risk is low. As we all recall, the deputations at the January meeting were passionate, personal and heartfelt. Residents made it very clear that they want Council to take visible practical steps to reduce chemical uses in places where people, particularly children, gather. The foam stream trial, a great name, addresses that concerns, and that's what it does. It targets playgrounds and high use areas where community expectations are understandably the highest. This is not about banning glyphosate across the city, it's about showing the community that we have heard them and are prepared to trial alternatives where it matters most. I acknowledge that the $90,000 cost is unbudgeted and this needs to be taken seriously. But equally, this is a limited, time-bound 12-month trial, not an ongoing commitment, and compared to the very significant costs identified if glyphosate was removed more broadly, this is a relatively modest and controlled investment. In the long term, the trial gives us real data, not assumptions, to inform future decisions. There is a value here beyond weed control alone. A trial like this builds community trust, reduces tension and conflict, supports staff who are often on the front line of public concern. And even if the trial ultimately shows that the foam stream has limitations, that information in itself is valuable. Importantly, approving the trial demonstrates that Council is committed to continuous improvement and best practice. We're not standing still and we're not ignoring alternatives. We are testing them carefully, transparently and in a way that balances evidence, cost and community expectations. So in summary, I support the recommendations confirming the safety and effectiveness of our current approach. I also support purchasing the foam stream unit and undertaking the 12-month trial. This decision balances science and community sentiment, immediate cost and long-term value, and shows the community that the Council is listening and willing to respond constructively.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, a question? Or?
I'd like to second.
Go ahead.
The safety and care of our young people must be forefront in our decisions. I'd like to thank NEC and our other residents for their deputations and for their advocacy. I support the acquisition of the foam stream and the 12-month trial, building on what Council already have achieved in this space. This is a good outcome for residents and the themes of livability and environment in our Community Vision 2034.
Thank you. Councillor Dew.
I'd like to debate, please.
Go ahead.
I'd like to begin by quoting Nick, I hope you don't mind, in an email that he sent us today. He wrote, "It's clear that glyphosate is a ticking time bomb, and he thinks people are desperate to know that their council supports them. He wasn't asking to get rid of it overnight. He's a realist and understands the difficulty this would result in, but a small show of concern he believes will go a very long way. With that in mind, I think about the scale and size of our council and an opportunity it is to step into our leadership. A trial won't only inform our practice, but has the ability to inform the broader sector, local government sector, and I guess other sectors as well. And I think that this is an opportunity that our community, many in our community, have been asking for a long time. And it will be interesting and great if we do go ahead to see the outcome of that.
Thank you. Councillor Platten.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question. Did we look into renting or leasing instead of procurement of the foam stream?
Chairperson, through you. Unfortunately, these machines are on very short supply. There's currently just one within South Australia, run by a contractor, and that's already all committed up in terms of its time use and all that. So it'll be hard to commit or get a contractor to commit to that capital investment just for a 12-month trial period, and for that reason we propose investing in the equipment ourselves.
Thank you. And if for some reason the trial period doesn't go to plan, what are we going to do with our expensive foam stream machine?
There will certainly be demand for that type of machine within the industry, considering the interest there is around glyphosate, its use, its safety. So we are confident that we can continue using it, or in worst case scenario, which I doubt, can be put back on market.
Thank you. And I note that there is operational expenditure of 30,000, which is incorporated into the 90,000. Is that to hire more staff to run the machine, or is it just the chemicals?
So the equipment obviously has got ongoing running costs. You'll need a ute that'll basically accommodate it and transport that. And then there'll be our chemicals, the petrol and all that associated with running that, and we'll use internal staff resourcing over the trial period, so then we're not committing extra FTE for that. That'll be funded from within our existing capacities.
Thank you. And one more question. Does the foam stream company provide us with extensive training for staff?
They certainly would, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard. I don't know what's going on here. Councillor Platten, would you like to? Thank you. Councillor Pritchard, there we go.
Just debate, thank you.
Go ahead.
The things I just wanted to talk about was, in the report, there's a couple of really positive stories in here that I don't think of getting the airplay that they deserve. So as part of this, the council have already looked at their roadside spraying behaviours and have reduced from 2 to 3 metre spray down to a half a metre roadside spray, which I think is extraordinary. Good new practice, and is going to save 50% of the glyphosate on roadsides as well. And they've already committed to no more glyphosate in playgrounds, proposing manual as well. So I just wanted to call those two out, and I also wanted to thank Councillor Fisher for updating the motion. Our deputations, talked about signage and no spray zones, and I know that we've had policies around signage and no spray zones, but we really need to earn that community trust by enforcing those requirements on our staff and our contractors. So I was very happy to see the amendments to all the changes to the motion, so that we can build that trust in the community.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Am I allowed to ask a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, beautiful. Just on the back of Councillor Platten's question, what would be the capacity when we own it? Would we be able to hire out our foam stream to anybody else?
Always good to have an entrepreneur in the chamber. Do you want to have a go?
Through you, Chair. So we generally don't hire equipment out. There's all sorts of liabilities around that and insurances that just makes it more complex. So we own the equipment and we'll fully utilise it.
Thank you. Councillor Greaves.
A couple of questions, if
Go
I
ahead.
may. I note that HSE Australia actually undertook the study and responded to some of the questions we asked as a chamber. There are no other South Australian case studies provided for the use of this equipment. Do you know if they contacted the LGA to see if there were any South Australian councils that have tried this?
Through the Mayor, Port Adelaide have purchased a unit from the contractor, and there's some other councils that do use it from the contractor as program works.
Okay, interesting that they weren't picked up as part of this, because I think, I probably would have liked to have understood from a South Australian context, particularly given the climatic conditions, etc., and the challenges we have, particularly in our rural areas. Anyway, that's just an aside. I wonder if it's possible for council staff to, reach out to those teams just to find out how they're getting on and what the results have been.
I think we can take that on notice for staff to get back to you.
Thank you. I also noted, sorry, it's probably more a little bit of debate now. Mayor.
Okay, I'll move into debate.
Thank you.
Start the clock.
Thank you. Look, I actually had a good read of the case studies, and look, I'm not averse to absolutely trying this, because, I think while some juries are out in terms of the impact, I do think that our sensitive spaces, particularly where our children play, is something that we should be paying a little bit more attention to in limiting the chemical exposure. But I do note, that in the attachment 3 to the report from HSE, it has identified a whole range of councils, both in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, who have actually trialled this sort of thing, and there's some fairly mixed reviews in there in terms of its efficacy, and there are certainly things in there talking about increased costs, increased complaints from their residents about weeds, and more notably, quite a few of them actually went back to more traditional weed control methods. What I would say is, if we are going to go down this path, is it possible that staff actually maybe provide the chamber with a little bit more detail around what that trial would look like, actually establishing some very specific measures so that it can actually be done in a controlled way, but also to actually really for us to be able to understand what the results are and actually make a comparison of them across the playgrounds that it's used on. I think that would be really useful. Obviously not now, but I think if we do go down this path, I think both council staff, but I think we as a chamber would benefit from having those parameters clearly established.
Thank you. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a bit of debate, if I may. I just want to acknowledge the report and the advocacy and representation of community and the chamber on this matter. I have to say, a bit mixed in terms of my view or feeling about particularly point 4 and the cost associated with something we don't necessarily know a lot about, and what if it doesn't work, as is highlighted by Councillor Greaves. I want to acknowledge in particular also the efforts that the staff have gone to make some changes and the extra changes in the motion. But I'm just conscious of the fact that we don't have a lot of evidence-based information that is clear about the impacts of glyphosate. I respectfully acknowledge that a lot of people have concerns about it. My concerns are more about safety in terms of ensuring people use the appropriate PPE and keep their distance and wear particular hands, full clothing, long sleeves, trousers, a mask even. And I, for years, have not seen residents, neighbours, or even my husband use the right PPE. So So that's always been my concern. But as a nurse, I don't necessarily see people come in with evidence of illnesses that are associated with glyphosate. And it's obviously something that's still frequently being assessed and analysed. So I'm not 100% behind the money that's being spent in this because there's not enough evidence about that. Now, in saying that, I also am concerned that we're not doing this in partnership with the community, because I'd say to you that almost every one of us would have Roundup in our shed or have used it in the past. But what are we doing to reduce the use that people use in their own backyard? Because to me, it's also not the impact it has on maybe individuals if they use too much of it too frequently and don't have the right PPE. It's what goes into our environment, into our water, and ends up in our creeks, our rivers, and our ocean. And that, for that matter, applies to all poisons or all chemicals that we would have in our house. And that includes simple things like shampoos, shower gels, what you use to wash your clothes. Yeah? So there's a lot of chemicals we use that have ammonia, that have bleach, sulfates, phosphates. And what are we all doing to reduce that use as well? Because I think glyphosate comes in that category. If used sparingly and carefully, in accordance with the instructions, then it's safe to do so. For me, as a nurse, it's like if you take your medications in accordance to the instructions you get, you're safe. Because all medications you take are dangerous if you take them the wrong way. So, apart from sharing that view about medications and chemicals that we use every day.
Time's up, Councillor.
Thank you. I don't support the motion because of the 90,000, sorry.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Fisher, do you wish to close?
Yes, please, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you, elected members, certainly for the debate. This motion strikes a balanced and responsible path forward. It acknowledges the evidence that our current weed management practices, including the use of glyphosate, are being carried out safely and effectively. It also acknowledges the strong community sentiment on this issue, which many of us have heard clearly through the passionate deputations at the January meeting. We are not resolving tonight, it is not what we are resolving tonight is not an all or nothing position. We are continuing an evidence-based integrated weed management approach that keeps our city safe, compliant and affordable. At the same time, we are taking practical and visible action to respond to the community concerns by improving communication and signage, supporting spray-free verges and, importantly, trialling a non-chemical alternative in the most sensitive high-use locations. The trial is targeted, time-limited to 12 months, focused on learning and accountability, and it allows council to test best practice in real conditions, gather data and make future decisions based on evidence rather than assumption. In short, this motion balances science with community expectation, balances short-term costs with long-term confidence, and shows our community that council is listening, learning and willing to adapt responsibility. For those reasons, I urge you all to support the motion as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. We have item now 10.9, the renaming of the Aldinga Sports Complex. That's page 349. Councillor Dew.
Thank you. I'd like to move as written.
Go ahead.
Only to say that all of us, I'm sure all of us attended an Anzac Day service on Saturday and and the youth vigil as well, and how it is a remarkable way our community comes together to remember those that have served or are continuing to serve. And this has come from a local community group who proposed the idea of being inclusive to the memorial within the sporting complex, and that's the group that plan and implement and design the Anzac and Remembrance Day services down in Aldinga. The Aldinga service had approximately 1,500 people in attendance, and Councillor Yeomans and myself were there, and the CE as well, so thank you for coming along to that. A couple of things that come to my mind. One is I can't actually understand my own writing. Came from the working group. But also, when you Google this location, it doesn't actually identify itself, and so incorporating Memorial Sports Park will also provide a point in time and place for people when they are looking to come to the War Memorial as well. And it was really supported by the community group, and I see that there's mixed feelings within the engagement that we received back, but majority were supportive. And I also, I've spoken to the Noarlunga RSL just to provide confidence in this decision. Noarlunga RSL, who were supporting Aldinga, and they were supportive along with each of the codes across the sporting park, from hockey to football to netball, soccer, etc., who all were happy with this as an option.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'd like to second it, and I see, the memorial had to be moved to another location, and it's about really getting that recognition, and we've just had Anzac Day, so certainly support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Any further debate? Councillor Jude, you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Item 10.10, the use of externally paid MCs. Councillor Platten.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move as written, please.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And I'll speak to it.
Yep.
Chamber, in January, went pretty hard on external MCs, and I think something as a parent to young people, I would say, is a measure of compromise is always really important. And I know that the staff, Bobby Jean in particular, has worked particularly hard to come up with a solution that sits well with me and would work well for the council. And I think what this report really does is outline 3 of our major events that could use an external MC. It speaks to there wasn't a great deal of support in terms of staff for wanting to go on internal MC register. I don't know why. I think it's a great job. And it also allows some discretion for the CE for new events coming up that we might need an external MC maybe to promote it. So I think it's a fair balance. I'm really happy to support it, and I hope you do too.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to second. Just a few words, just to thank Councillor Platten for just, one of these governance issues of having a look at something. Occasionally it's good to delve a bit deeper into some of the workings of the council and just run an eye over it. And I think that, as he said, this finds a nice balance of unpaid and paid, and at the same time it's certainly, even though there wasn't a great deal of interest in staff, hopefully they were aware that opportunities like this are being looked at for them. So thanks, Councillor Platten.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
Just a bit of a debate. Like all our small businesses, I actually support our residents that make a living from MCing or supplement their income from being MC, and to have the opportunity to do that within our city would be amazing if that was your gig. I see having a professional MC represent at us events to grow engagement, present us well and share their love of the state as city is a real positive. So I hope that we can balance it out and use people that really enjoy doing this, because like most of the staff, I would not.
Thank you. Councillor Platten, did you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. And I too thank the staff and Councillor Platten for using your parenting skills to help you in your job tonight. This is great. Item 10.11, Councillor Davis.
I'd like to move the motion. I'd like to thank the staff for the proactive and community-focused response. With the rise of misinformation, I appreciate the creation of a website and the links to reliable sources. The balance and acknowledgement of risk versus reward matched with staff training and the human oversight supports the importance of pro-human values that will require to accelerate in this space. I appreciate the amendment that in such a fast-moving space we are looking to review it yearly rather than waiting for 2 years, and I like that we're adding the metrics in so that we can actually review and quantify the number of visits to the website. That'll ensure that we are actually creating something and resources that that actually support our community.
Thank you. I just want to clarify something. I think it's a web page, not a website. Is that correct? Yep. Thank you. Councillor Themeliotis.
Yes, just to confirm again what you just said, a web page connected to the City of Onkaparinga's page. And then my second question is around point 2. What sort of triggered having that? And do other councils have this as well?
Through the Mayor. The trigger was some questions coming through for the, education of where staff are using AI and being really clear about biases that can be introduced by the use of AI, and then extending that into the community. What is our community practice in libraries, community centres, and how we're actually serving? We're actually coming back to providing, like with the Algal Bloom website, as a central point for people to go to get information from trusted sources. I'm not aware of other councils doing that.
I can say that the City of New York does, but I haven't seen any in South Australia yet. I don't have a seconder to it. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Fisher?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much.
Don't want to talk.
Okay. Councillor Pritchard, a question or?
Question, please.
Go ahead.
Just with regards to the webpage, I guess the question is, if we considered that council wasn't best placed to provide this information, is there a way of sort of stepping away from the webpage at some point in the future?
Through the Mayor. Absolutely. This is a very fast-moving space. We don't know where it's going to end up. It was more about funneling people into sites elsewhere. So again, like the Algal Bloom, there's been a lot of success in directing people to information sources that are federally owned, very well resourced, up to date, and have the relative data sources in there.
Councillor G.
I would assume that some people in our community are debating. Oh, no, it's a question. No, it's a debate.
We're going for debate.
Let's go debate.
You lost your chance. Start the clock.
Actually, it is a question, but that's okay. Some people in our community may look at this and think that we are attempting to squash freedom of speech and drive our own narrative, not taking into account other people's perspectives or other truths. I'm just wondering what might be on that landing page. You've already kind of articulated that it would be for government websites. If there was another Algal Bloom or something like that, we would refer people to that source of information. But I'd just like you to elaborate. Can I now ask a question?
We'll stop the clock. That's your debate.
Yes, and now I'd like to ask a question.
Okay.
Can you please outline what you imagine really clearly on this website?
Page. Go ahead.
Through the Mayor. Thanks, Sharon. On the web page, there will be some frequently asked questions about AI and what could be thought about rather than information provision per se. It's up to us to build our community's critical thinking skills about what tools we engage in, so that thinking about what information is private to me. So frequently asked questions about those pieces in the report, and one of the appendices did have some drafts of what could be on those pages, but also it is a conduit to what federal government guidelines are for small businesses as well, so not just the individuals in the community but small businesses as well. But also I understand the question around different truths. It is up to each individual to do the critical thinking in those spaces, and not for us to provide any data sources at that point.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, do you want to close?
Thank you so much, Leslie. I think I put you under the pump a bit here, didn't I? This is now a hot topic, and I think the fact that this is now going to have a 12-month review, we're going to have metrics around the attendance. I think it's a really good opportunity to be on the front foot for some of our vulnerable residents that aren't exactly sure how to do that critical thinking or where to look first. We are a trusted source, and I think this gives us an opportunity to just step into the space, support our vulnerable residents in the younger and the older age brackets. I think, well, actually across any age bracket, I think there's people that need a little bit of guidance, need a little bit of help. So I think this is a really good opportunity for us to support them.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously, and we will look forward to links to the E-Safety Commissioner and other things like that. Item 10.12, the Kangarilla Recreation Ground long lease term proposal. Councillor Themeliotis.
Yes, happy to move.
Thank you.
Debate really, really briefly.
Go ahead.
I always get really excited when I see all these long-term leases come through, because I just remember the times sitting in a small room with a couple of sporting clubs in Flagstaff Hill going, what could we do to make things better for our sporting clubs across the city? And how big can we make this, and how far can we push? I was our former CEO at the time, but how far can we push to get outcomes for sporting clubs across our city? So when I see these things where we're going to have long-term leases for sporting clubs, and this is going to be it's going to roll out over time, to know that there is some assurances for clubs, they can plan for the future, they can feel stable in where they are, and start investing knowing that they're there for the long term. This is really exciting, and I really appreciate I think it was a unanimous support from the Chamber for long-term leases to secure this for our sporting clubs, so thank you.
Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'd like to second it. I mean, we've had that experience in Thalassa Ward where both the Themeliotis and myself have actually seen that anxiety by the different sporting groups or groups that run the Oval. So look, it's a good choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bell. Question or debate?
A debate, thank you. Just to support the motion and thank Councillor Themeliotis and Eaton for their generous endorsement of my hometown of Kangarilla. And I can vouch that the Community Rec Ground Committee, in particular Mike Golding and Nick Threadgold, who run the committee very well, very much in favour, as the rest of the committee is, in a long-term lease. Certainly when I first engaged with them and they asked about it, I shared with them the information from the USA on Flagstaff Hill and Happy Valley, and shared with them all the information that came out of that, and gave them some contact details in the event that they needed to get some more information. But overall, as the USA highlights, the committee and the community see the key benefits of club stability and continuity and enhanced community focus that brings with the long-term lease. There are key messages, obviously, a good participation rate in the USA. The key messages, obviously, I just wanted to highlight is that the rec ground is widely valued as a central hub, which I can vouch for. Obviously, a multi-use centre, I can say that at least 3 of them have attended the workshops, all of which I think I attended as well, and they took in a lot of information from that and would value further communication with the staff to have further conversations about financial issues that they see are currently existing, but overall very supportive, so thank you.
Councillor Pritchard.
Just one question.
Go ahead.
I think this was the second to last long-term, at least that was out of, am I correct that there's only one to go now, or am I incorrect?
Through the Mayor, no, there are several other, I think there's probably about 8 more multi-use facilities included in that list. Many of them leases haven't come up for expiry at their current agreement, so they'll be... No,
sorry, I was guessing expired leases, because Kangarilla has been out of lease for a period, and I think there was only one other one that's out of lease, is that right?
Kangarilla are the last of the multi-use facilities that are in holding over, yes, currently.
Thank you. Just debate.
Go ahead.
It was just around that conversation from all in the chamber around the work that's gone into extending these sporting clubs and the work that has happened in trying to make sporting facilities. We've got now more consistent financials across all of our organisations. We, at the last meeting or the meeting before, looked at the community centres and their, not the community centres, community-owned sports facilities. So just an acknowledgement of a long period of work that this has been going around for a long period of our term, and yet to now have this as the last one that was expired is fantastic.
Thank you. Councillor Themeliotis, do you wish to close?
Thank you. Just to say that this, on paper, would seem like a very small thing that council has done, but it's going to have such a great impact across our city, not just for Kangarilla, for other clubs as well. So we should not just celebrate the big things, but sometimes celebrate the small things that have such a great impact.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, and I'm sure the Kangarilla community will be very pleased to hear that. Item 10.13, Councillor Eaton.
I'm just declaring a conflict of interest.
Thank you.
And I'll leave the chamber.
Thank you very much. So this is a nomination for the Adelaide Coastal Councils Network. Councillor Davis. If you want to nominate, if anyone wants to nominate, you will need to...
I would just like to... I don't even know if I can do this. I'll start and you can stop me if I'm allowed to. I'd like to see an elected member that represents a coastal ward nominate, and I would really like to ask if Councillor Dew or Councillor Yeomans would be willing to step into this space, especially since Councillor Dew has definitely got some runs on the board with her recent advocacy for our coastal...
that's not the motion that's before us.
I know.
So I'm going to rule that out of order. Thank you, Councillor Themeliotis.
If the council appoints Councillor Dew to the acting council representative to the Adelaide Coastal Councils Network for the duration of the current council term.
No, so can you just read, can you just have it check what you can see in front of you? Just remove Eaton, that's it. Put Dew.
Because I didn't believe we didn't have any name in there.
The motion, Councillor Eaton indicated by his conflict of interest that he was a nominee.
But because no one had put that forward, can I just get some clarity?
So Councillor Eaton has indicated he has an interest in doing that. Do you wish to keep that motion there?
Can I?
You've made a motion, but you will need to get the assent of the nominee.
Understood. And I will seek.
So I'm going to actually adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes if people are willing to do that. We'll take our break actually. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you, Councillor Themeliotis. Seconded, Councillor Greaves. All in favour? So we're going to have a 10-minute break and we will come back to item 10.13. If there are further nominations, you will need a conflict of interest form to come to me before that time. Welcome back, everyone. Have we got everyone who wants to be here back? I just want to apologise for not being clear about what the motion was before we went to the break. So at this point in time, I do have a nomination from Councillor Eaton for the Adelaide Coastal Council's network. He has advised that it's a conflict of interest and so has made himself unavailable. Are there any other nominations? Councillor Themeliotis.
Am I not just moving this?
We can move this, yeah, but I'm also asking, just for fairness, are there any other nominations? There's no other nominations as far as I can see. Councillor Themeliotis.
We'll move the motion to support Councillor Eaton as Council's representative on the Adelaide Coastal Council's network.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Very briefly, I will signify that Councillor Eaton has a background in this space. He has signified to a number of elected members that he can commit the time to attend these meetings. I understand some of the questions from other elected members. I will mention that thalassa means view of the ocean, so we can see stuff from our ward too. Thank you.
And I love that your Greek heritage is able to support you in this role, having a similar Greek heritage. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to second the motion and appreciate the fact that we've got a councillor that has put his hand up to nominate for a role.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in carried unanimously. Thank you. Someone can let Councillor Eaton know. And on his return, I'd just let you know, as an aside, that I do sit on this committee as well, but as the Local Government Association's board representative. And as you know, our former Councillor Wilkes was a member of this council, which is of this network, which is why this vacancy exists. And I did ask the network at our last meeting last week to extend a note of gratitude for her leadership and working as a leader of the network, which will be extended to her. Item 10.14, Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move. Just wanted to ask a question as well, please. At the December confidential meeting, December 2025 meeting, we had an item on there to investigate the opportunities at one of our sites. I just wanted to try and formalise some sort of return in this reporting schedule as to when a report on that might occur. I'm not sure how much, because it's confidential, which one.
Yes, so what I would say is we'll take that on notice and bring that information back directly to you, Councillor Pritchard, but it is noted and understood that information to come forward to you. Councillor Themeliotis.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Any further questions, debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, everyone. We have a series of questions on notice. All the answers are either in the agenda or with you. They will be in the minutes. Item 12.1 is our motion on notice. It's page 459 for anyone using their digital copy. Councillor Themeliotis.
Yes, thank you. Elected members, just for a slight bit of background, this actually came out of conversations with our Every Generation committee. Elected members hold positions of public trust. We're entrusted with sensitive information, confidential information. We deal with matters that can involve children, older residents, vulnerable people, community groups, sporting clubs, volunteers, families, and residents who are in difficult circumstances. Given those responsibilities, I believe that it is reasonable to ask whether the standards of elected members are strong enough. We've actually already done this as a chamber previously in other representations. Many people who work or volunteer in our community are required to undergo checks before they can serve. That includes working with people with working with children, working with people who are in aged care, disability services, sport, education, health, and there are many other areas in public life. Yet elected members are entrusted with significant responsibilities and they're not necessarily subject to the same level of screening. So I know a number of elected members would have that in their employment and outside of this place, but not as an elected member. The motion is about strengthening confidence in local government. Our community should have confidence that those they are elected to public office are subject to the appropriate checks and clearances that reflect the seriousness of the role. It is important to recognise that that this may require a legislative reform, and that is why this motion is asking Council to advocate to the Minister for Local Government, who is best placed to consider any possible changes to local government. Local government should be open, accountable and trusted, and have a high standard that supports that. If we expect high standards from council staff, from volunteers and from our community organisations, then it's reasonable to ask that elected members also meet those standards appropriate to the trust placed in us. The motion asks the state government to consider stronger safeguards and to advise council of that response once it's received.
Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll certainly like to second it. It really is important that we advocate on these issues so the right sort of people that aren't going to create a risk in our community to certain elements are not necessarily voted into council, but it's really important that, all of those I've actually got. Some I can't even talk about. So it's important, I think, that we do this advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Platten.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to speak for it. I think the more we can do to show that we're leaders in our community, as Councillor Themeliotis has stated, most of us would probably have some of these checks for our workplaces anyway. It's a pretty normal part of working in public service, and it's certainly a normal part of working for a business. And I think fair's fair. I think that I always support the Mayor writing letters, and I think that this is a really good cause.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard.
Just a question. On March the 3rd we had a EM session around the Aged Care Act, and there was some requirements in the Aged Care Act changes from 2024 that included some of these checks, and I was just trying to work out if this motion would align us with those aged care.
I'm sure that we can get some information to support answer that question, but indeed that harmonisation, if you like, that's required legislatively for the aged care provisions around public offices, that's still a bit of we're still waiting for some federal government advice around that, but if you'd like to answer that as well, you're very welcome.
That's correct. So as councillors at the moment, the expectation is that you are responsible officers under the Act as it stands currently. We're seeking advice, as we described at that EM session. We're still waiting on that advice from Minister Butler and from his colleagues in Canberra, and we'll be able to provide some more information when we receive that. But you're quite right, Councillor, that's exactly what will happen. It will help lift those standards, if that is the case, for those councils that continue to provide aged care services.
Councillor Davis.
I appreciate this motion. This is some of the bare minimum that volunteers need when they come to a school. We need working with children checks. We also need responding to risk of harm, abuse and neglect, and I'm just wondering if this is exclusively just what's there, or if it opens it up to us looking at best practice across those regions, and if we are dealing with children, that the RAN would come into that as well.
I'm going to work on the assumption the staff have heard your intent there. The word including isn't an exclusive word, so I think we can probably accommodate that. Any further questions? Debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried? And yes, we have actually included this kind of request previously with the Local Government Act reforms a couple of years ago. We do have a new minister, so a new opportunity for a letter from us. Item 13.1, the petition. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move the motion.
Go ahead.
Obviously, a petition around speed reduction is something that we're always keen to look into. This section of road in particular is an interesting intersection at the end of this, and there is a number of houses sort of towards the end of this section of road leading into an intersection. The intersection is not a great one. It's sort of it looks like a cross intersection, except there is one's a bend and there's sort of two coming off of the bend. Interesting to note, and just a side point, I think this might be the road, well it's not actually, but just for the sake of the joke, that Valtteri Bottas's new house is at, so it's not, he's just around the corner.
It's very close. We wouldn't want to disclose information, but thank you, Councillor Pritchard, for your endorsement of a future Onkaparinga ambassador. Councillor Bell.
Thank you. Yes, I'll second the motion, and I'm all for safety, particularly pedestrians and cyclists and domestic and native animals, and I can vouch for that area being a concern to residents.
Thank you. Councillor Dew. No, not Councillor Dew. Councillor Pritchard, did you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Any urgent business? Councillor Dew.
Sorry, I actually don't know if governance and the Mayor, you'll accept this at this point. I just note that we received correspondence from the Audit and Risk Chair, Tim O'Loughlin,
yes.
And I wondered if it could be put into the minutes if staff and yourself deem it
So the urgency is in terms of our budget process.
Thank you. And it also refers to the Morphett Vale Basketball Stadium.
Okay, I'm happy to accept that. Do we have a move? So you're moving for the correspondence, which all elected members have anyhow. Thank you.
Yes,
Councillor Themeliotis. Oh, sorry. Yes, from the ARC Chair.
Yep, to be included in the minutes.
Yes. I am pressing your button, but it doesn't want to go. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay, thank you. Who did I? Oh, sorry, Councillor Bell, it was you. I keep pressing and it keeps disappearing for some reason. Councillor Bell did second that motion. Any further conversation? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. I'll now ask for a legal exclusion of the public. Councillor Themeliotis.
Yes, happy to move.
Councillor Eaton. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. For those who need to move.